Welcome to The Business of Family, the podcast where we explore the stories, challenges, and opportunities of family businesses. I'm your host, Tammy Buss, and I'm a family business survivor and also a family business advisor. In this show, we will be talking with family business leaders and experts to bring you insights and inspiration so you too can survive your family business journey. Whether you're a founder, a successor, a professional, or just curious about family businesses, this podcast is for you. So today my guest is Ed Etheridge, who is a second-generation family business owner. They own the Black Walnut Cafe and Bakery here in London, Ontario, with 3 locations. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today, Ed.
Pleasure being here.
So tell me about the start of the cafe and your dad starting the business.
Yeah, so prior to 2011, there was a cafe there already, and it had a great location, a loyal customer base, but they were struggling a little bit on product quality, consistency, kind of falling customer numbers and sales and whatnot. But my father and my sister together saw an opportunity there to acquire the business and just add some more systems and structure to it, and hopefully make it thrive, and which they did. And that was in 2011, and I then came on in 2015 as we were opening our second location, the Richmond Road location.
Now that's interesting to have a father-daughter start a business, and then you come in later. So how did that sort of evolve?
Well, I was living out west in British Columbia, doing more of a corporate kind of style job, and they're very close, and my father had owned restaurants and cafes before, so we had that experience, and my sister had taken culinary in school and was baking at the time, so I had that baking experience. So with his small business experience and her baking experience, they really made a success very quickly. And
what enticed you to enter into that business with them? Because it's very complex. I mean, being a family is tough enough. When you end up working with your father and your sister, that is even worse. So how did you end up coming in after leaving that sort of corporate or deciding to come in from the corporate world?
Yeah, it wasn't like I lost my job or anything. I left that position, and it was a good one. So that was a really tough decision, but I saw so much promise in the business, so much promise in growth, and with our sort of collaboration in terms of experience, that we bring different aspects of business experience, whether it be small business, baking, corporate, whatever. I felt like that could be a really successful combination, and so we took the leap. And again, it was nice. We had small children, so it was nice to be near family as well, rather than on the other side of the country.
And did you have those conversations like in a family setting? Did you talk about like how did that come up that they could use your expertise, or were they always sort of collaborating? Were you always collaborating together about the business and the growth?
I wasn't involved in business at all at first. So again, I was on the other side of the country. But yeah, we flew in, had a meeting, talked about what was possible and what we could bring and how it would kind of work, and all agreed and went from there.
And where is your father in the business today?
So he lives upstairs of the Wortley location once we rebuilt it again, and he's not involved in like day-to-day operations in terms of team management or procurement or accounting or anything like that. He's more of the fridge is broken and could you go down and have a look kind of thing. And so, but he's very helpful in that, and he has a wealth of experience in small business and restaurants. So he's a great person to pick his brain and to get counsel on, and has a lot of wisdom there. So that's really helpful for sure. But in terms of day-to-day operations, my sister and I run at 99%.
And do you have specific lanes that you're both in?
In terms of my sister and I? Yeah, I think we both oversee the entire business. At times we've sort of assigned ourselves roles or titles, just to sort of keep everybody, divide and conquer in a way, but also to, that's quite fluid. We'll bleed into each other where she's more on the baking side, frontline management of the shops, where maybe I'm more on the numbers side, the management sort of.
So the back end, more on the back end
more
side.
the back end, governance hierarchies and things like that, systems, things like that. But of course, she will come onto my side and pick my brain or add advice or suggestions, and likewise I'll go in and maybe make a suggestion on the baking side. But
Ooh, and how does that go over?
It's not so great sometimes. No, she's an amazing baker, and she does a great job running a kitchen. So I don't need to give much advice, but the point is that it is fluid that way. So I think there's a great flexibility in the fluency of that, or fluidity of that. But also we do sort of have our lanes and have our expertise that we do. Otherwise, it would be too much. Like it would be confusing, I think, and there'd be redundancy there that wouldn't work.
So when you came into the business, having left the West Coast and coming into the Snow Belt, so how did you come into the business? Did you come in as an employee, as a partner? How did you discuss what that entrance into the business would be?
Mm-hmm. I came in as an owner, so I took shares on of the company at that point, and I bought in. But also too, I kind of worked my way in to kind of earn my ownership as well at the same time. So that's how it worked, and full owner as much as Mandy on day one that I arrived, which really showed a lot of trust in me as a new person coming on, and a real commitment to me. And I think that's, that trust and that commitment, you can't get that in a non-family business. That's for sure. I mean, I guess someone could come on, but it would be much more contractual and much more earning your way on. They just trusted me to do the job day one, and I think I fulfilled my role in that. I hope so, but yeah.
That's interesting, because it's very difficult when you have somebody who's currently working in an industry, in a family business, to have a sibling come in who has not been there in partnership. There's a lot of dynamics and complexities around that. And again, like you said, it's a lot different when you're family versus non-family. So is your father still an owner in the company, or is it all transferred over to you and your sister now?
A very minor owner in terms of share ownership, but he doesn't really take much. He just wants to be
involved,
a counsel, and walk around and fix a fridge or something.
Do you have other siblings who are not in the business?
We have one other sister, who's not involved in the business at all. She has her own career.
And has that ever come up as an option, or talking about what do you want to do with this? This non-operating sister, this non-involved sister, about coming in, or?
No, I don't think that's her preference. She has other avenues of career that she's focused on, and so that's never really been a discussion. I don't think she's interested. So we want interested partners. That's obviously the important thing about family, is that it's not just about being family, but it's about having common goals and common values and common vision of the future.
Oh, I love that. I always talk about that. It's so important that you have, from a family's perspective, a vision, a mission, and a values. And then from a business perspective as well. But one of the things I'm going to say is that, as a family business advisor working with a lot of families, a lot of times those discussions haven't happened with the family to say, are you interested? What would you like to see this family business evolve into? Do you want to be involved? Because you can be an owner of a business and not actually be involved in day-to-day activities. Right. And I think that's one of the sort of misconceptions, particularly because family businesses go from first to second is about a 30% transition, and then from second to third is about 3%. So it becomes it's very steep. And I think a lot of that is because there's a lot of assumptions with families, because we are close and we're families. And yes, we assume that, they're honorable and we know what to expect. But sometimes we don't have those actual conversations with the family members. And I had one recently with a family, and there were 6 in the next gen, and they only thought 2 of them were interested because they all had their own careers, but they were never really asked and looked at the opportunities. So that's one of the fallacies that kind of have is like, well, you know what, you should have that conversation. So there you go. There's a point. You should talk to your sister, but you may or may not. But one of the things I want to know is how do you, when you get together as a family, do you separate that business, conversations from family conversations?
Yes and no. So I would say that, at family dinners, Thanksgiving dinners, something like that, business often comes up. So in that way, it is together and sort of melts into each other. But on the other hand, I think that we have conversations that are completely personal and individually supportive apart from the business.
Yeah.
And I think that one good thing about my family is that we do think about business a lot. It's our life. But we are able to totally separate it, and we're able to put family first above business.
Right.
And whatever happens from that, good or bad, that's what will happen. Now, I find with our family, and it might be different for different families, but if you put family first, the business will take care of itself. It'll thrive.
Yes, and that is very true. I agree with that it's the family comes first and then the business comes after. So you're now second gen. How old is third gen?
My children are 18 and 16. Mandy's children are, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but younger. I don't know, probably around 8 and 6 or something like that. Sorry, Mandy, if I got that wrong. Bad uncle. But so a little bit younger. So that's where we're at right now with our two families.
So are they involved in, so I guess the question is, do you have specific family meetings? Because as a family, there's sort of three dynamics, right? There's the family circle, the business circle, and the ownership circle. And when you're kind of in the middle there, it's a little bit muddy when you're discussing family versus business. If you're at the dining room table as opposed to the boardroom table, do you specifically have meetings around the family and talking about, what the vision or future looks like and involving the next gen in those conversations?
No, I would say not.
Have I got some suggestions for you?
I was going to say, yeah. No, we've asked them casually if they want to be involved, and and you get various answers. But I think no, we haven't thought about that a lot, to be really honest.
Yeah. And I think this is good for our listeners to understand that. You really have to have some of those conversations as your children are older now. And we casually ask, are you interested? And I did the same thing, as I was transitioning my business as a first generation. And I know you're second, but it's almost like a first combined, right? Because your dad and your sister started at the same time. Is that we don't think of that governance structure. We don't talk about it because we're just so busy and so focused on growing the business and keeping it alive and, paying all the bills. That we don't talk about the opportunities that are in the business or what the vision happens to be. Right now you have 3 locations in one city, but maybe the next gen has got the business focus and says, look, I think we should franchise, or I think we should go out there. And you're like, I have no time and no energy to do that. I'm just trying to keep staff at the front counters,
Yes.
So I think it's really important to start to think about that. It's a bit of a mind shift to think about, how to start to put structure in place when you're first to second generation. And then because when you get into third, and again, you've got an age gap there. You've got teenagers and you've got young children. I mean, You're not having the same conversations with them.
No, those would stagger for sure. And yeah, I think you make a great point about being open and honest about that, and having a plan. I think, admittedly, I think we are just so much focused on the business, like you said, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Understandably so, but that you don't think about those things. Again, no. we've had conversations with the kids casually. I mean, more of my kids, not the younger ones yet.
Yeah.
But maybe a more structured system there to have the discussions could be beneficial for sure.
So I want to change topics a little bit and talk about that devastating fire that you had in one of your locations. That was your flagship location, correct?
Correct.
And very popular. So tell me about how losing that business, and now it's back up and running. It's taken, you can talk about the number of years it took to get that back up, but how did that impact the family dynamics and the emotional side of things. How was that? How did that impact everything?
Yeah, I think that was...
Maybe give us a background. Tell us what happened with the business.
Sure. So, it was our flagship location, and it was burned down, tragically, just by someone, and he was found and charged for it. Total random person, did not know this person at all, and he had started several fires down the street at multiple garbage cans, and ours were beside the building, and caught and went up. So, I'd say overall, also too, my father lived upstairs. He was on vacation at the time.
Oh, thankfully.
Thankfully. So he lost everything, every picture, every family heirloom, every computer file, every video that he had, all his clothes, everything. So, that was pretty tough, like on top of everything else. It was an iconic building, 1865.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're in a historic little village within the city.
One of the oldest buildings in London, so that was pretty sad for the community to lose that building. 20 jobs that we tried to take them on the other stores and whatnot, but we did what we could on that as much as we could, but couldn't save all the jobs. And the business itself, and then just the people in the community just losing their central hub, where they go. It's an institution, and so that was...
Absolutely. Missed it.
Yeah. So...
Had to gravitate to one of the other locations.
yes, and many did. That was fantastic, and so, yeah. In terms of your original question, though, in terms of how it affected family and stuff, I think that added a different element in terms of just like, but in a good way, I think in terms of emotional support and just being there for that and kind of going through it together. I think that, made things a little bit easier, I would say. I mean, it was incredibly challenging, like psychologically, mentally, and not to mention financially, and just energy of time and focus, to rebuild it. But I thought it was fantastic to have family. We kind of all went through it, and we had our moments of like, can we do this? But we kind of push each other and support each other, and kicked in the butt or pat on the back, and all got there together, and it was pretty amazing. You like step back and look at it, like what we rebuilt, and that the customers all came back and in droves, and they're very, very happy and loving the product,
and very supportive of you through this process.
Yeah, like very supportive, obviously, like verbally and whatnot. I mean, we would get like 100 emails a month, like when we were down. Just when are you going to get back? And we miss you so much, and these sort of things. So that was amazing. That level of support, that really pushed us on too. I mean, we were going to rebuild no matter what, even if we didn't get one email. But that was amazing. What the community did there. But also they just you really show. You can say words, but you show it with action, and they've come back in droves. And we are extremely busy, and they continue to come back, and once they see the place and see that it's really similar to the old style in terms of... I was going to say,
you did a very good job, even though you took a building that's well over 100 years old and replaced it with a brand new building. It looks like it fits in, which is so wonderful.
Yes.
That it looks similar to the old building, a little more sound, I'm sure. Well, one thing I loved about your building was the uneven floors. So did you put uneven floors, or did you level them off?
No. Level them off.
Good.
Yeah. I think that was there's a few character pieces, I think, maybe we lost a little bit, but I think we gained it back as well, like with little rooms and with little nooks and crannies and and obviously the color scheme and the wood trims and everything is very, very similar. The layout's really similar. So on the inside and outside, it's really similar. Just, maybe there's a few modern perks too, that the old building was, having troubles with as well. So,
right.
So, lemonade out of lemons.
The one thing I wanted to highlight was the fact that if that was a store that was a large, non-family run business, the support probably wouldn't be there in the same way. But I think families forget about how important families in business are in their communities and what they bring into the community. They want to rally around and support, the little guy. Even the little guys can be big guys, but I mean, they know it's a family-owned business, and you're part of that community and giving back. I think that is one of the things that we sometimes forget in business, that we are really a part of that community.
You can really you can really notice a family business, can't you? Like,
yes.
Like, there's some businesses and they just look a little bit too cookie cutter, a little bit too corporate, a little bit too, like, just missing that, like, je ne sais quoi, or whatever you want to say, right? But like a family business, you feel a little bit more heart, right? You feel a little bit more authenticity, a little more connection to the community, to its workers. Like, we're there every day.
Yeah, I think it's really the workers, because they see it as they're working for a family. It's not corporate.
Correct.
And you don't have that same attitude towards your clients and your customers, and it's just I just find it so much more personable.
Absolutely, yeah, and we have so many employees that stayed on with us for over 10 years, 8 years, 7 years, 6 years in this industry. That's really rare. I think we have a real connection with them. Like, they're almost like family. I know people say that, but like, literally, they come to our house for dinner. Like, I take the managers out on little trips, little road trips and stuff, and it's that's fun. But just being there every day, that's really what makes a difference. Like, being present and being with them, they see that you're bought in. You're not just some corporate chill who comes in once a month to do an audit. You're there, on the front lines, kind of with them, working with them, and
you're more maneuverable, right? Because you're not going up to a corporate office and having to, get approval to do something.
Correct.
So now that the flagship store is back up and running, where do you see the vision? Because you do catering as well. So where do you see the vision of, or have you had a chance to sit down and talk about where you see Black Walnut going?
So we've always had like long-term growth visions of the business. I mean, that was one that you asked about, like, why did I come on? And that was one of the reasons too, just because I saw so much potential of growth. In what form that takes, I'm not sure, but we wanted to start with Richmond, and then we added the Western location, and we just finished getting Wortley done, so it's in the back of our mind, and we are always looking and such, but that took a while, and so I think we're just focused on like making that perfect, and then, or close to perfect as we can get, and then looking at further growth.
Right.
That would be, I think, in London and in the west of London, I think would be where we've looked at a lot of locations in the past, and but then COVID hits, and then a fire hits or something, and sets us back. But that's the long-term goal.
So I can't believe we're out of time. It goes by so fast because I have so many more questions. One question before we get into my final question is, how did the name come up?
Great question. So in that area, there are a lot of black walnut trees.
Oh,
in fact, just in
okay.
just our neighbors just beside us. We don't have one on our property.
And they're annoying, by the way, black walnut trees.
they can fall and whatnot.
Bonk you in the noodle. They're
and not the greatest for baking.
No.
But you can, but we don't. But that's the reason, just to stay true to the community and just what it represents in terms of nature and community feel. So
if you go to an area that doesn't have black walnuts, would it be called the Maple Tree Bakery, or?
Good question. Yeah. We'll work on that.
The Maple Key instead of the Black Walnut, the Maple Key Bakery and Cafe.
Maybe you're onto something there. Yeah, that's great.
Anyway, so I always like to end every podcast with 3 pieces of advice that you would give family businesses. So what would those 3 pieces be?
Okay. I would say number 1, kind of what you were saying as well. Have a sit down and make sure that your visions, your philosophies, your values are similar or the same or similar. I think that's really important. I think that if you had someone who didn't have that same philosophy or same values, I think that could present problems. So that would be one good thing. And like you mentioned, having those sit downs and structured sort of meetings around that, I think that would be really beneficial. I think we talked about having roles, and so as much as my sister and I, Mandy, again, it's fluid and we kind of help each other out. We have our lanes and we have our duties, our tasks to take care of, our responsibilities, and so I think setting those sort of clear lines in terms of roles and responsibilities is important. And then the last one I would say is just, again, like we talked about before, family first. So that's the number one thing. And like I said, I think if you take care of family first, if you really put that truly first above everything, the business should take care of itself. That should be fine. It's because you have those common values and philosophies and goals. So always family first, and everything else will take care of itself.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
If you like this episode, subscribe to the Business of Family podcast on your favorite listening platform. You can also find Blue Roots on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. On the next show, I'll be back with another amazing guest who will inspire you with their family business insights. Until then, take care and keep it in the family. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, tax, investment, or insurance advice. Before acting on any advice, please contact your personal or company advisors.